So this is your video about Unit 3 Level 1. We're going to be talking about some unit conversions. Hopefully you're watching this video to help you do a little bit better on the Unit 3 benchmark. A unit conversion is when you are converting from one unit of measurement to another. So for example, you could be converting from inches to feet, or you could be converting from centimeters to meters, ounces to pounds. Any sort of measurement conversion where you're going from one to another is a unit conversion. And you can see I've got this chart here, which has got a ton of different conversion amounts and a nice little helpful hint at the top. It says when you're going from little to big, you divide. So when you're going from like inches to feet, you would divide. When you're going from big to little, you would multiply. So for example, if you were going from miles to yards, you would multiply. That's a really helpful thing to try to remember as you are working through these, okay? We're also going to set up some ratios to help us figure it out that way. So the question here is, how many days are equivalent to 16,000 seconds? We can use what we know about different unit conversions in order to figure this out. So if we start with 16,000 seconds, and labeling is super important here because you need to know what unit you're in as you're converting. A lot of these are going to require multiple conversions. For example, I know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So I'm going to multiply 16,000 seconds into 1 minute for 60 seconds. I also know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now I'm going from seconds to minutes to hours. I'm still not quite there because I need days, but I do know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. Now look what I've done. I've converted from seconds to minutes to hours to days by putting each one across from each other. When I have seconds on top and seconds on bottom, they cancel. The minutes cancel the minutes, the hours cancel the hours, and all of a sudden my unit is now in days. All I have left to do is multiply the numbers. So multiply the top numbers by each other. So 16,000 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 16,000. This is always a 1 under here, times 60 times 60 times 24. And if you have a calculator handy, which it's always helpful to do, you can simply multiply all of those numbers together. So for example, on my calculator, I'm going to multiply 60 times 24. I'm not multiplying by 1 because I know that anything multiplied by 1 is the same number. I get a total of 86,400. Now my last step is to divide this. So 16,000 divided by 86,400 is 0.18 days. And there we go. Okay, so 16,000 seconds is 0.18 days. Let's try another one here. How many cups are in 13 gallons? Now, I can't remember exactly how many cups, so I'm going to go back to my conversion chart, and I'm going to look and see that there are 16 cups in 1 gallon, it tells me right here on my conversion chart. So if there are 16 cups in 1 gallon, I can use that to help me solve this next problem. So the question is, how many cups are in 13 gallons? I have 13 gallons. And I know that there are 16 cups in 1 gallon. I'm going to multiply across the top and across the bottom. When I do that, my gallons will cancel out, and I'll be left with cups. Now on the bottom, I'm just going to have 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. On the top, when I multiply 13 times 16, I get 208. The answer is that there are 208 cups in 13 gallons. Not too bad. When you have a nice conversion like that, it's pretty easy to do, to just set it up and solve. Let's try one more. A mole is a unit of measurement used in chemistry. Masses of 1 mole of 3 elements are in the table. So you can see here we've got the mass of a mole of hydrogen, of carbon, and of oxygen. We're going to be rounding our answers to the nearest tenth. So first off, we have a 100-gram sample of ascorbic acid contains 54.5 grams of oxygen. I'm talking about oxygen here. To the nearest tenth, find the number of moles of oxygen in the sample. So we know that 1 mole of oxygen is 16 grams. In our ascorbic acid, we have 54.5 grams of oxygen, and I put that in the wrong spot. Sorry, 54.5 grams of oxygen. I can set up a proportion to figure out how many moles that is. I'm simply going to cross multiply. This is what we've been doing. So 16m equals 54.5. Divide that by 16, and I get 3.4. So I have 3.4. It's 406. 0 tells me to leave the same. Moles of oxygen. There we go. And I can do the same thing down here. A 100-gram sample of ascorbic acid contains 4.58 grams of hydrogen. To the nearest tenth, find the number of moles of hydrogen. I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to do it with my hydrogen, which I know is 1.01 grams. In my ascorbic acid, I have 4.58 grams, and I want to know how many moles that is. So I'm going to cross multiply again. So I'm going to get 4.58 equals 1.01 m. I'm going to divide by 1.01, and I get 4.58 divided by 1.01, 4.5346. And I am rounding to the nearest tenth. That was 4.53, which tells me to keep the 5 the same. So I have 4.5 moles of hydrogen this time. Okay, so depending on what you're working with, sometimes we're setting up a proportion, sometimes we're just doing our unit conversions to be able to figure out how many of one measurement is in another measurement. Good luck on your benchmark. Hope it goes well.